Welcome to the Retirement Classroom. Today we're covering one of the most dangerous blind spots in retirement planning, beneficiary designation mistakes. This is the kind of topic that doesn't feel urgent until it's too late. Your beneficiary designations on retirement accounts, life insurance policies, and other financial accounts are legally binding documents that override your will. Let me say that again, because it's critically important. Your beneficiary designations override your will. If your will says everything goes to your spouse but your old 401k beneficiary form still lists your ex-spouse. Your ex-spouse gets the money. The will doesn't matter. Courts have upheld this principle countless times. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to audit your designations, the most common mistakes people make, and how to fix them before they cause irreversible damage to your family. Let's start with why beneficiary designations are so powerful. When you open a retirement account like a 401k IRA or Roth IRA, or when you purchase a life insurance policy, you fill out a beneficiary designation form. This form creates a contract between you and the financial institution that supersedes any instructions in your will, your trust, or any other estate planning document. The account passes directly to the named beneficiary outside of probate. This is actually a feature, not a bug. It means your beneficiaries get the money quickly without going through the slow and expensive probate process, but it also means that outdated or incorrect designations can cause catastrophic and legally irreversible outcomes. Mistake number one, failing to update after major life events. This is by far the most common and most devastating mistake. You get married, divorced, have children, lose a spouse, or remarry, and you forget to update your beneficiary forms. Here's a real scenario that plays out in courtrooms across America. John and Mary are married. John names Mary as beneficiary on his 401k. They divorce. John remarries Susan. John updates his will to leave everything to Susan. John passes away. Who gets the 401k? Mary, the ex-wife, because John never updated the beneficiary designation form. Susan gets nothing from that account regardless of what the will says. In some states, divorce automatically revokes a spousal beneficiary designation, but in many states it does not. And even in states where it does, the rules may not apply to employer-sponsored plans governed by federal ERISA law. The safest approach is always to update your designations immediately after any major life event. Do not rely on state law to fix this for you. Mistake number two, naming only a primary beneficiary and no contingent. Your primary beneficiary is who gets the money first. Your contingent beneficiary is the backup if your primary beneficiary has already passed away or disclaims the inheritance. If you name only a primary and that person predeceases you, the account typically reverts to your estate and goes through probate, which is exactly what the beneficiary designation was supposed to avoid. Always name both a primary and contingent beneficiary on every account. For most married couples, the typical structure is primary beneficiary is your spouse, contingent beneficiaries are your children in equal shares. But this can vary based on your specific family situation and estate plan. Mistake number three, naming minor children directly as beneficiaries. If you name a minor child as a beneficiary and you pass away, the financial institution cannot distribute money directly to a minor. A court will need to appoint a guardian or custodian for the funds, which costs time and money and may not result in the person you would have chosen managing your child's inheritance. Instead, there are better approaches. You can name a custodial account under the Uniform Transfers to Minors Act, designating a trusted adult as custodian. Or better yet, for larger amounts, you can establish a trust for the benefit of your minor children and name the trust as the beneficiary. This gives you control over when and how the money is distributed. For example, you might specify that the child receives 1/3 at age 25, 1/3 at 30, and the final third at 35. Mistake number four, incorrectly naming a trust as beneficiary. Naming a trust as beneficiary of a retirement account can be a smart estate planning move, but it must be done correctly. There are two types of trusts that matter here, see-through trusts and non-see-through trusts. A see-through trust, also called a look-through trust, meets specific IRS requirements that allow the beneficiaries of the trust to be treated as the designated beneficiaries of the retirement account. This matters enormously for required minimum distribution purposes. A non-see-through trust does not meet these requirements, which means the entire account may need to be distributed within 5 years of the owner's death, potentially creating a massive tax bill. If you're going to name a trust as beneficiary, work with an estate planning attorney who understands the interaction between trust law and retirement account distribution rules. The trust must be valid under state law, be irrevocable upon your death, have identifiable beneficiaries, and a copy must be provided to the plan administrator. Mistake number 5, not understanding the Secure Act changes. The Secure Act of 2019 fundamentally changed how inherited retirement accounts work. Before the Secure Act, non-spouse beneficiaries could stretch distributions from an inherited IRA over their entire lifetime, which was an incredibly powerful tax planning tool. After the Secure Act, most non-spouse beneficiaries must now withdraw the entire inherited account within 10 years. There are exceptions. Surviving spouses, minor children of the account owner, disabled or chronically ill individuals, and beneficiaries who are not more than 10 years younger than the account owner. These eligible designated beneficiaries can still use the stretch strategy. This changes your beneficiary planning significantly. If you're leaving a large IRA to your adult children, they will face a 10-year distribution window that could push them into higher tax brackets. Some strategies to consider: you might convert traditional IRA funds to Roth during your lifetime so your heirs inherit tax-free. You might use life insurance to replace the tax cost of the inherited IRA. Or you might consider charitable remainder trusts for very large accounts. Mistake number 6, forgetting about non-retirement accounts with beneficiary designations. It's not just retirement accounts. Beneficiary designations also apply to life insurance policies, annuities, health savings accounts, transfer on death brokerage accounts, and payable on death bank accounts. Each of these needs to be reviewed and kept current. Many people diligently update their 401k beneficiaries but forget about the life insurance policy they bought 20 years ago. That still lists their parents as beneficiaries. Mistake number 7, per stirps versus per capita distribution. When you name multiple beneficiaries, such as your 3 children, you need to specify how the money is distributed if one of them predeceases you. Per stirps means that if one of your children passes away before you, their share goes to their children, your grandchildren. Per capita means each living beneficiary gets an equal share, and a deceased beneficiary's share is redistributed among the surviving beneficiaries rather than passing to their descendants. Most people intend per stirps, meaning they want the money to flow down to grandchildren if a child passes away. But many beneficiary forms default to per capita or don't specify at all. Check your forms carefully and make sure the distribution method matches your intentions. Let me walk you through a complete beneficiary audit process. Step 1, create an inventory. List every financial account, insurance policy, and asset that has a beneficiary designation. This includes all retirement accounts, all life insurance policies, all annuities, your HSA, any transfer on death or payable on death accounts, and any deferred compensation plans from your employer. Step 2, request current beneficiary forms. Contact each financial institution and request a copy of your current beneficiary designation on file. Do not assume you remember what you filled out years ago. Get the actual documents and verify. Step 3, review each designation against your current wishes. For each account, confirm: is the primary beneficiary correct and current? Is there a contingent beneficiary named? Is the distribution method what you intend, per stirpes or per capita? Are the beneficiary's full legal name, date of birth, and social security number correct? Is the designation consistent with your overall estate plan? Step 4, coordinate with your estate plan. Your beneficiary designations should work in harmony with your will, trust, and overall estate plan. If you have a revocable living trust, decide which accounts should name the trust as beneficiary and which should name individuals directly. Generally, retirement accounts should name individuals directly to preserve tax-advantaged stretch options, while non-retirement accounts may benefit from trust designation for control and protection. Step 5, make updates and confirm in writing. Submit new beneficiary designation forms where needed. After submitting, follow up with each institution to confirm the changes were processed. Keep copies of all submitted forms in a secure location, and let your estate planning attorney know about any changes. Here's an important tip that many people miss. Review your beneficiary designations at least once per year, ideally when you do your annual financial review or tax preparation. Also review immediately after any of these events: marriage, divorce, birth or adoption of a child, death of a beneficiary, significant change in financial circumstances, or any update to your estate plan. One more critical point. If you have an employer-sponsored retirement plan like a 401k or 403b, federal law under ERISA requires that your spouse be the primary beneficiary unless your spouse signs a written waiver. This applies even if you're separated but not yet divorced. If you want to name someone other than your spouse, you'll need your spouse's notarized consent on the plan's specific waiver form. The bottom line is this: beneficiary designations are among the most powerful and most overlooked documents in your entire financial plan. They override your will. They control where potentially hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars go when you pass away. And mistakes are usually discovered only after it's too late to fix them. Take 30 minutes this week to start your beneficiary audit. It could be the most important 30 minutes you spend on your financial plan this year. If you found this helpful, subscribe for more retirement planning education. And if you'd like help reviewing your beneficiary designations and overall estate plan, check the link in the description for a free consultation. Class dismissed.
Hey, before you go, if you're serious about your retirement, we'd love to help. Scan the QR code on screen right now or visit the link in the description to book a completely free strategy session with a qualified professional. It only takes a couple minutes to fill out, and there's absolutely no obligation. Take the first step today. We'll see you in the next one.